Well, as the city of Franklin, we're one of the most desirable places for people to live, work, raise their family. And I think that started 225 years ago. Our community was founded. It was founded by people that had a vision. It was founded by people that had faith.
When Franklin was started as a town in 1799 and was established, and it was written into the charter that there would be a meeting place for the Methodist, and the unique place for this church to have been a part of the community from the very beginning, and to think that those of us that are here now, looking back and celebrating 225 years, we've been the ones that have had the gift of being a part of that history.
Communities were built around the church and that activity of that church. They had all kinds of different social economics that played into the church, and it still plays there today.
I think the faith community is part of what makes Franklin such a uniquely special place. If you walk down Main Street, it's anchored on every side by a church of different denominations, and the fact that we can all be here and live here together and share some common values, I think speaks to the kind of place that this is built on, and it has continued to be part of what attracts people here as well.
And we've had to grow. Not just in number, but we've had to grow in friendship, and we've had to grow in spirit, and we've had to grow in nimbleness.
We are a community made up of great diversity of age. Williamson County has had, for the last 15 to 20 years, one of the lowest unemployments in the entire state of Tennessee. Most of the individuals that live here are very highly educated, and they have a drive and a quest for their kids following in the footsteps of being able to continue on with their education.
It's interesting as we head into 225 years, some of the other anniversaries worth talking about this fall include the 160th anniversary of the Battle of Franklin, which had a profound impact in shaping our country and our community. And I think because we have been so intentional about telling the full story of our history as a place, looking at the fuller story of slavery through the war, through modern day, it has made it an even more interesting place to visit, because it's not everywhere that you can get such an honest, raw view of the history. What I think has been incredibly special in this community is that we don't shy away from talking about it, and I think I'm really proud to be in a place where we talk about the ugly parts of history because they happened, and it's important for us to understand how and why that happened so that we can, make some peace and move forward in ways that are different.
In communities that are doing well, in communities that are even affluent, one of the challenges that sometimes arises is that it gets easier and easier to overlook those who aren't experiencing that kind of affluence. It falls often to the faith community to recognize and to even shine a light on those who are struggling.
I couldn't start to name all the programs our church has that fill in gaps that there is no one else to provide that service. And I see that in a lot of other nonprofits in our city, that they fill in gaps that the city does not have the capacity to do.
What we're really going for is just taking care of one another and recognizing the gift it is to be in a place that is prosperous, that people want to come and live in, while not forgetting that in many cases there are folks who've been here for generations.
I think the future is bright for the Franklin First United Methodist Church. We're feeding the hungry, we're taking care of the downtrodden, and people are finding Jesus through our church.
Pastorally, I have kind of learned through the years to not make growth itself such a focus. God gives the growth. Now, it also happens to be my experience that when a congregation is healthy and in sync with what God is doing in the world, growth almost always naturally follows, both in terms of the number of people involved in the life of the congregation, but in the depth of those people's lives with God.
My hope is that in 5 years or 10 years, the things that make us special today, the sense of community, of caring, of support, of interest and investment in history and sense of place, that doesn't change in 5 years or 10 years. It's how do we help the people who are new and growing and visiting and living here to appreciate and become part of the fabric of who we are, so that growth is really about sustaining what makes us special.
I think if I'm looking in a crystal ball of trying to say what's going to happen in the next 225 years, our community's going to grow. We'll have some arguments, we'll have some disagreements. Politicians will come and go. So will ministers. But at the end of the day, it's the bedrock, it's the cornerstone of most communities or your local involvement. And hopefully we stay connected the way we have for the last 225 years.